Hey guys, Omerko here, self-taught web developer, and in today's video we are going back into Bootstrap. Today we will create a blog layout using Bootstrap 5. On my screen right now you can see such a layout that we will create today. We will have some kind of header, some kind of categories at the top as our navigation for a blog layout. We will have this big featured blog post, other blog posts here, and also currently a visible blog post to us. On the right side we will have also a sidebar about our blog and also different archives and social medias. And obviously at the bottom we will have this footer. Also, you should know that this kind of a blog layout you can find also in examples of Bootstrap 5 website. But in this video we will create such a layout step by step. One thing also to notice here is that this layout will use only HTML and Bootstrap with its classes. So no CSS will be written in this video. Next to this video, you will find different Bootstrap videos on my channel. There are videos to create a grid gallery, pricing table, different pages like sign up page and the landing page. And also you will be able to create the landing page in Bootstrap 4 and Bootstrap 5 as well. So without further introduction, let's start with this video. First thing that we should build is this piece of line at the top, this kind of a header line that we see with the subscribe logo and the right side with search and sign up buttons. So going into my HTML file now, this is just a standard HTML file which will have its title and different imports for Bootstrap CSS and also JavaScript if we would use one. So first thing that we will create is that header at the top. I will put the comment of headers, and down below I will create a div with the class of container because I will wrap my headers inside of this container. So let's make some space here. This container will include my header and also my navigation bar. So here first of all I will put the comment of header and use header HTML5 element with the class of p-3, which stands for padding epsilon axis 3. That number of 3 is a class from a Bootstrap. Bootstrap has its own sizes for different classes, based on 1 to 5. So here we are somewhere in the middle. Now that we have our padding, let's create another div inside with different classes. First class will be row. Because we are using container here, we are able to use row inside. Now I will use flex, no wrap class. This class will make sure to not wrap my content. Then I will use justify content between. This class will move my different sections to have, well, empty space between them, and also align items center. So this will align my items from top to bottom. So first section here, div, with the class of col 4, so for 4 columns of a Bootstrap 5 grid, and padding top of 1. First thing that I should add is that subscribe link. So anchor tag for a link, href will lead me just to a hash, so this current page. Class can be link secondary. This is a class that will color our link kind of a grayish, and the text will be subscribe. Then after this I will create another div. Let's make some spacing here so you can see. Next div will hold again class of col 4, and this time text center, because this here will be our logo and I wish to put my logo for this blog in a center. So anchor tag for my logo, here href will lead me just to hash, and then classes will be different. So this class here, first of all I will use text dark class to color my text to kinda darker color, and fs class, which stands for font size of 2, so a bigger font size than usual. The text itself will be just logo, so no image for our logo here, just the text. And I will have another div. This div should include that search icon and also that sign up button. So class here for my div, col 4 once again, and now use dflex which stands for display flex, to display as a flex our div here. Then again justify content, and to move our content of this div to the right side. In Bootstrap 5 now there is a change. There is no left and right side, so there is no margin left and margin right. Similarly here, there is no justify content left and justify content right. We are using now in Bootstrap start and end. So here we are justifying our content to an end side, which was a right side. So if you plan to use a margin, you would use margin start or margin end with Bootstrap 5 classes. And also here I will use a line items center. And here first of all, let's create the anchor tag with the href to hash and the class again link secondary. Then to this link I should pass an icon here. You can pass whichever icon you wish. I will just copy and paste this SVG icon from, well, this URL, which is this search icon itself. After that I will create my sign up button. For my sign up button I will again use my anchor tag with href of hash, and now here I will use class of btn to specify my button, then btn sm to put my button, to create it as a smaller button basically, and btn outline secondary, which will make my grayish button, well, to be a transparent with the border, grayish border around it. And sign up now here. Last thing that I wish to add is after my div here is the horizontal rule. So use HR right here. Well, not here, but after this div, because this div should wrap our content at the top here. So this is the first line on our blog layout. We have our subscribe on the left side, our logo, search, and sign up button. The sign up button doesn't look correct, so let's fix that. And let's code this section right now, our navigation. So button itself doesn't look correct because these two classes are, well, together. So btn sm should be divided from btn outline secondary. After my header here, let me first of all put the end of header comment. And here we will create our navigation now. So I will use div first of all, where I will specify different classes here. Also here I will use end of navigation. So first of all I will specify the class of padding epsilon 1 and also margin bottom 2. And now inside we will have our navigation with this nav HTML5 element. So let's put the classes here. So first class will be nav to specify the navigation from Bootstrap 5. Then dflex for again to display as a flexbox this whole navigation. Justify content center, well, let's use between, which will put content between our links, well, as an empty space. And now let's work on our links. We have anchor tag with the href of hash, and the class will be padding 2, which will put padding on all sizes to 2 size itself from Bootstrap 5. And the link secondary will be our other class. So first collection here for our blog will be world, so world news kind of. So let's copy this few more times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's okay. So it's not quite a few times, right? So here I will use sport. Then let's change this to technology. Then we will have design, culture, also business. Then we can have politics. Then I would say opinion, science, health, style, and one last thing can be travel, and that's it. Now in our blog layout we do have this collection of different archives for our news. So the next piece of work that we will create will be this featured blog post, this big blog post. So let's create that one now. So first thing here, I will also put comment here to end of headers And we are moving now away from our headers. We are moving to our main content, which will include all of our blog posts and also that sidebar that we have. So main content here. Before everything, we have that main header, our main blog post. So again, I will put, well, first of all, let's wrap our main content in main HTML5 tag with the class of container once again, and inside we will wrap our blog post. This blog post will be main header, so I will put the main header as a comment here, and let's create a div for it. So this div should hold few classes. As a class of padding 4, then padding medium size 5, which stands for padding on medium size screens and larger to be 5, otherwise on smaller screens it will be 4 as we specified here. Then margin bottom 4, text will be white because we will have background as a dark. All of those are Bootstrap 5 classes for coloring, and we will use a rounded here, so the borders, well, the corners of our blog post will be rounded. It will add a border radius to it. Inside, I will create my content. So I wish my content just to take half of the blog post, so to not spread through entirety of that highlighted blog post. So column MD of 6 here will do the work. Also, I will use padding X axis to 0 to not have any padding here. Now inside, first of all, title for our blog post. I will create some classes here like display for class, which is a class specifically for titles, to display those differently. Then font style, which is FST, I will use italic here. This is a class that will put our text to be italic, not the normal. And also some title like cool featured blog post. Here I missed spacing, that's okay. After this I will use my padding with the class of lead for a leading paragraph, not padding, sorry, which will make my paragraph a bit larger, and margin epsilon 3. Text for my paragraph will be just lorem ipsum text here. And also again I will use, well, let's use a padding with a class again of lead and margin bottom of 0, but inside of our paragraph, again I set padding, I will use anchor tag of hash, so it will lead me just to this page, and class will be text white, and also font weight, which is FW, will be bold. It will say continue reading. And that's okay. Now in my browser, if I would refresh my page, here it is, we do have that featured blog post. Next thing that we will create is these two different featured posts. So let's do that right now. So after my main header here, I will put first the end comment, so end of main header, and here I will put comment of featured posts, as we are creating two of those. So for this one, I will set first of all the div with the class of row and margin bottom of 2, and inside I will split this div into two sections, so there will be left one and the right one. So first of all, let's work with the left section. Left section will take 6 columns of Bootstrap 5 grid, so column MD of 6, and let's create our blog post inside. So this will hold its own row, so class of row, because we will have different content inside of it. So this class of row will also be supported by gap 0 class, then border class, then rounded as well. I will use again overflow hidden class to hide overflow, then flex MD row class, margin bottom of 4, shadow SM to add smaller shadow, then height on medium screen sizes will be 250 pixels, and position will be relative. You can see that we can style all of these with, well, CSS, But all of this is also usable just through Bootstrap 5 classes. And this is the idea of this video, to show you how can you create this blog layout just by using the classes from Bootstrap 5 without any CSS. And inside, now I will create a div with the class of column for the left side, and we will have some kind of image of this blog post on the right side. Then P4, well, padding 4, then dFlex class, and also class for flex column, and last class will be position static. Now here inside, let's create our blog post. First of all, I will use strong HTML tag for sport, and let's put some classes here. First class will be the inline block to display this as an inline block, then margin bottom of 2 and text primary, which should color my sport text into a blue color. Then h3 for a title of this post. It will hold the class of margin bottom of 0, and the title will say featured post. And then the next thing, we will have some kind of date, so div here with the class of margin bottom 1, and also class of text muted for a grayish color of this date, like November 12. And also we will have p here with the class of card text and margin bottom auto. So this here will hold some lorem ipsum text. Let's cut this lorem ipsum text to be this long, and after this text we will use a anchor tag with the href set to hash, and the class will be stretched link, and the link will say continue reading. So this is all for the blog post itself, but next to this side, let's also create the side for an icon. So here I will use div with the class, well, not the icon but the image. This div will be called auto, so it will be long as it can based on the text on the left side. Then display will be none, but display on larger screens will be blocked. So on smaller screens we won't see this image at all. So here you can put your image as you wish. I will just copy and paste my image here, which is a background placeholder image basically from Bootstrap 5 itself. And now I can grab this call md6, copy it, and paste it down below for my right featured post. I will also just change some of the text, like here instead of sport it will be design, for example. Instead of featured post it will be like post title, and instead of November 12th, November 11th. Lorem ipsum now can be longer, so lorem, we will hold this continue reading and this placeholder image. So now in my page, if I would refresh, here it is. This text is a bit longer, so I will cut it a bit. But the next thing that we will create, we will split our sidebar and this blog post example, and we will create the whole blog post example. So going back to my code now, let me cut this line to here, and let's continue further. So after these featured posts, I will use end of featured posts, comment here, and we will create our post content. So here, post content will be our comment. So this post content will hold a div with the class of row and gap of 5 for bigger gap between our sections. So first of all, we will have our post. Here, this will be a div with the class of call md8, and I will use also end of post here. After our post, we will also have our sidebar, so div for that with the class of call md4, and let's put end comment for sidebar, end of sidebar. Now go back to our post and let's create some content inside. First of all, I will use h3 for a title here, and title will hold the classes of padding at the bottom side of 4, margin bottom also will be 4, then we will use font style to be italic, and border at the bottom side of it. The title will say just blog post example. That's good enough. After our title, I will create the paragraph with the lorem ipsum text. Let's copy this paragraph once, and after the paragraph, let's create some kind of blog, like a block quote. So first of all, for a block quote in Bootstrap 5, we should create a figure, and inside of it we will use block quote. This block quote must hold a class of block quote. This is a class from Bootstrap 5, and we will put some kind of a quote in this. Quote, I will use the same from Bootstrap example. It will say a well-known quote contained in a block quote element. So obviously a stupid example, but also we will use figure caption here. So figure caption. This also should hold a class of block quote footer, as this is a footer of our quote, and we will say like someone famous in, and we will use cite here, which will be source title. So someone famous said this famous quote. So now let's copy this lorem ipsum down below after our figure once, twice. Then again I will copy my figure here, and again I will copy at least these two once again. And for the last one, paragraph, here I will use class of margin bottom of 5. So now in our blog layout, if I would refresh, we do have our blog post example. There is some text, there is a quote, more text to our blog post, and again more text with the quote. So let's now focus on our sidebar. For my sidebar, first of all, I will use a div here with the class of position sticky. So position sticky will make sure that the sidebar will follow us as we scroll through our page. For that also we must set the top itself where this position should be sticked, where this should stick this whole sidebar. So for that I will use style here with top of 2 rems, for example. And now let's focus on our sidebar. First of all, in our sidebar we will have about section. So about comment will go here, and I will create a div. I will also put end of about as a comment, and let's focus on about. First of all, classes should be padding 4, then margin bottom of 3, and background will be light color, a bit whiter color, and the rounded will be our about section. Then we will have a title, so h4 here with the class of font style italic, which we already used, and the title will be just about, and paragraph could hold a class of margin bottom 0, but paragraph will hold just lorem ipsum text as an example. Then after our about we will have our archives. So here I will create archives, create the div. Let's put end of archives as a comment, end of archives, and here we will put class of padding 4 for all sides. So inside we will have again a title, so h4 with the class of font style italic, and it will say archives, and our archives will be, well, basically an ordered list. So ordered list here with the class of list unstyled and class of margin bottom of 0, and let's create our list of items. So list item, anchor tag inside with the href to hash, and it will say September 2021, as this is the current month. So I will copy this 9 more times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which includes, well, 10 times in overall. The next month will be August, then July, then June, then May, then April, then March, then February, and January. And also here will be December from 2020 at this point. After our archives, we can copy entire archives, paste it down below, but now we are creating social media. So here, social comment, end of social. We will, for the title, say here social as well. And this ordered list will now become unordered list with list unstyled, margin bottom. Well, we can use now without it. And I will use 3 list items here. First one will be like a GitHub. Maybe this is not good for a blog layout, but still it's good for a web development. So the next one can be Twitter. And the last one, Facebook. And that's it. Now on our page, if you would refresh, there it is. We do have our sidebar. What I will do here is grab entire post, well, the content of the post, not the post itself, and paste it again. So to make this post longer, so we could see that sticky position that we passed on our sidebar. Now refresh the page, and here it is. Our sidebar will stay with us as we scroll through our blog layout. The last thing that is left is our footer. Footer should be quite straightforward. So after our main content, let me put here end of main content, and let's create our footer. Footer comment first, then footer HTML5 element, then here I will say end of footer, and now let's put some classes to our footer. First of all, BG dark class to color our footer to a darker color, and text must be light, and also padding 2 here. My footer will hold the copyright and also a link to move ourselves to the top of the page. So for that, I will first of all create a div with the classes of d flex and then justify content between. With these 2 classes, we will make sure that the one element that we will have will be on the left side and the next element will be on the right side of our footer. Then paragraph for our first element, which will hold and copy here, which stands for basically copyright sign, that C, and I will use Omerko here, my channel name, and anchor tag here as well with the hash for href, and it will just say back to top. You can use some kind of icon here. Now back to our web page, refresh. Here it is, Omerko copyright, and back to top. Click on this, it will move us back to a top side, and our blog layout with Bootstrap 5 is fully finished. So what is good with this Bootstrap 5 now? Well, basically next to our layout as it is now, we can go right click and inspect our element to check our layout on smaller screen device. Like I could here toggle device toolbar, and we can see how the whole blog will look on Pixel 2. We will have our top line here. Obviously the sign up button is a bit bigger, but we do have here our links. Also we do have our featured blog post, different blog posts as well here without that image. As you know, we set the class for an image to not be visible on smaller screen sizes. There is whole blog post example, and at the bottom we do have our sidebar itself and obviously our footer. So back to top side. Now what you can do here? Well, for example, you could create now your own style.css file, import it in your HTML and try to style this blog layout for your use case. For example, you can make these links here as our navigation to move from left to right and not be stacked together as they are. Also, you could add a bit more style to this blog layout as it looks quite basic. But this will be it for this video. Thank you all for watching. If you liked what you saw, please click like and subscribe as I am posting new content weekly. Thank you once again, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.